Hi everyone, Steve Crosby here. Welcome to this episode of Monday Morning Musings, and we're continuing on the themes of father-son ministry and the precarious nature of that sort of thing. A few more weeks of that and we'll move on. Some of you might be saying, my God, when is he going to get off of it? Well, a couple more weeks. I want to talk to you about another phenomenon that is dreadful, and it's the phenomena of psychological abuse. Now, I'm going to paint a scenario for you. Normally this father-son ministry thing, there's normally quite an age gap. Otherwise, there's a 50, late 40s, 50s, 6-year-old guy or gal, and a bunch of either late adolescents or early adults that he recruits. Now, when people are at that age, where their identity, they haven't had a lot of life experiences on their own, their identities are being formed, their sense of where they fit. It's a form of psychological abuse to target and take advantage of and manipulate and play that psychological vulnerability. I have noticed something, and this is not an absolute rule, but I've noticed it commonly enough to have an alarm bell go off. And that is this. Many people that I know who preach this father-son message, oddly, have very poor relationships with peers. Their ministerial function is toward or with young adults who are 35 or 40 years younger than they are. And those young people really sycophantically follow them as a guru, and like in some of the other examples I've given, their spiritual father. And here's this scenario. So take somebody like myself. Let's say, I've been at this 45 years. I've got an advanced degree, and let's hope I measure spirituality. And I get up and I preach some message or something. What do you think? What 18, 19, 20-year-old, 25-year-old, new convert, insecure young man or young woman is going to come up after a meeting and get into my face and challenge what I've just preached? I propose to you that is, in terms of a human dynamic, highly unlikely. It's going to take an exceptionally secure person. And I don't mean someone just asks for a question, but someone who can come up and say, Dr. Steve or whatever, using the title nonsense. I think you're off your rocker and you've manipulated that text, and that is not what that text means. What 18 or 19-year-old or 21-year-old is going to do that? I propose to you that the group pressure, the pressure to conform, the pressure to be accepted, the insecurities of that young person would never allow that to happen. I think that's unhealthy. I think that's unwise. And if that same headman or woman, whoever the big person is in that universe, if their sphere of relationships is not full of spiritual peers and adult peers and generational peers and just fawning subordinate, almost children who just, yes, and if you preach this stuff about, hey, if you don't serve my vision first, you'll never get your own calling, even though Paul himself said, my calling didn't come from men. The pressure, the psychological pressure to just fold and go along with it, because you're not. I've had situations where the heads of these types of networks, they have the power to write a college recommendation for you or not. And I know people personally, wonderful young people for whom the big shot would not write a college endorsement because of some infraction of, not sure that they're really committed to loyally as one of my sons or my spiritual daughters. Folks, that's cultic. That's dangerous. That's soulish. That's predatory. That's manipulative. That's abusive. That it's unclean. Despite all biblical proof texts that you might be able to find to justify what you think about father-son ministry, that is predatory. And it should not ever happen in the community of the beloved of God. I'll see you next time.